This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If you forget
yesterday's tears, you'll cry again.
You must be in all seasons to survive.
Yeah.
I think it is a survival tactic. Yeah.
Yeah. Newt, how would you go about it?
Well, for me, I think I would think that if I didn't learn what made me cry yesterday, then I'm likely to make the same mistake and cry again. So for me, it is I should learn, remember what made me cry yesterday so that I can avoid it today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting perspectives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so as we get into this morning, over the last couple of months now, we've been seeing a drive towards empowerment development across the country. And then we are asking the question for Kenyans are saying, first of all, in terms of, sustainability and longevity of this thing, how long will it last? And is this what we're looking at, whereby it has a political tag to it? Or is the country actually in the place where you're able to go through the next stages of economic empowerment and development for the people of Kenya? We'll start with you, Senator Newtu. With what we've seen as the empowerment drives, are we looking at empowerment for Kenyans, or are we looking at political aspirations?
Thank you, Duke. I think for me, this is not actual empowerment. For me, I think these are just political campaigns, clothed as empowerment, because you come to think of this empowerment where nobody will tell you about any budgetary, allocation to it. And nobody will, issue any checks. It's always in cash. And when we ask, we are told that those that are supposedly, empowering our people are very generous people. But they hold rallies, and if you have observed them, in this empowerment agenda and meetings, they'll of course talk a lot of politics, and majorly the object of ridicule and hate is Rigathi Gachagua and others, and then finally, of course, now they'll say that they are giving women groups some money. We have had media reports of some ladies who said that one of them were actually asked to share 2,000 Kenya shillings amongst them, and the figure they were getting was negligible and meager, and this is after spending a whole day and sometimes being forced to sing for them. But for me, basically, it's the politics that is done during these meetings. It's a lack of a clear policy on where we get these funds, how we are supposed to. These funds are supposed to empower these, especially women, and the sustainability is also a question that all of us should be asking ourselves. And the other thing that concerns me is the amounts that are spent while, to facilitate delivery of these funds. Because, of course, there are choppers that, land in such a place in big numbers. There are many high-ranking government officials, going to such functions. And there are some very many other questions, because you'll see, like the Speaker of the National Assembly, for example, joining such a group, and of course taking sides in the political messaging that will happen there, and of course nailing some people. And so sometimes you ask yourself about the impartiality, of course, of the Speaker of the National Assembly, and there are very many questions, if you ask me. So for me, it's not actual empowerment, it's politics. It's just a political platform that they are creating in order for them to be able to further their political agenda. But as of empowerment, no, because in the Constitution we have some very clear ways on how to empower, youth and women. Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Enterprise Fund. I think for me, that is what we should be enhancing and not dishing cash in big amounts of money.
Okay.
Yeah, there are very many questions that we could ask ourselves.
Senator Cherargei, how would you deem the empowerment drives that we've seen in the country over the last few months?
Thank you and good morning to all our listeners and viewers, and it's always a pleasure to be here. I think this is a very interesting topic because politics of empowerment did not just start the other day with all of us. It started with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta with the spirit of Harambee. Anybody who tell you, a politician who tell you that they don't do politics of empowerment is lying through the teeth. Because even as we talk, I can assure you, between Newton and myself, we have so many WhatsApp groups of hospital bills, medical bills, funeral expenses, school fees, among others. That's part and parcel, including even bridal showers and weddings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people are fundraising for weddings.
You attend bridal showers?
Sometimes. But that is the story of another day.
Okay.
But the point I'm trying to make, even weddings, people do fundraisers for weddings. And it is nothing new. Politics of empowerment are here with us, and it means all of us, in one way or another, are trying to be part of the society that was built on Harambee spirit by our founding fathers, led by Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And the only issue which our opponents of politics of empowerment has never told us is to accuse us of any financial misappropriation. Because what Senator Newton would tell us that 2,000 does not mean a lot is very unfortunate statement.
For 31 women?
2,000 to an individual. I can tell you those women who are selling Sukuma Wiki and the Boda guys don't make a profit of 2,000 a day. Even some of if you go to Kenol in Muranga, the small capital per day of a Sukuma Wiki seller in Kenol's town center or in Mugoiri, they will give you, that is 500 to 1,000 shillings. So for many people who do not believe we have light changing, because in any case, the fundraising or empowerment that is done is for the groups. So these people who have gone and subdivided to individuals, if the groups get, I saw in another group that average of 50,000. If you're somewhere in Nandi, somewhere in Mgwen, and you are doing rearing of chicken or even or sheep or cow, you can start off with a particular beginning, and you have to note that most of these they have also started doing. I saw the member of Saboti, and the other day the member of Kabuchai hosting similar empowerment. I have seen Senator Newton and his boss, whenever they go to a church, the church makes a request that we have this shortfall. I normally see them declaring an amount of money. So they say who comes to Equity must come with clean hands. So you cannot be accusing, then you are doing the same thing. So what we are just doing is that it is not that we have much. By the way, giving or being generous does not mean you have much. It means you want to share the little you have. And that is what we are doing in these programs. Most of these choppers is talking about, most of the donations that we give out are personal contributions, the way we normally do, even in Parliament. We normally have similar causes. We have colleagues being invited to attend functions, to do Harambes for their local churches. I have never seen anything, and even the speakers of both houses are normally the guests of most of the members of Parliament. Although in many cases, and therefore, and if you want to accuse some of the speakers who are government officials, if you look at their messaging, it's about unity, it's about cohesion, it's about togetherness, it's about bringing the nation together. So it's not a forum shopping for political discourse.
Senator Cherargei, to be honest, would you be willing to share what you earn in a month as a senator?
I share daily.
How much do you earn as a senator?
Of course, it is there. SRC has put it, but because you have taken mortgage and loan,
yes.
Some of us do other businesses. You know, anybody who tell
no, we're just looking at salary. We're just looking at salary. But salary of a senator.
Of course, the salary is there, but some of us have taken mortgage. Maybe me, I have taken mortgage. I don't know, which is around 40 million. And then you have a few loans here and there. So it doesn't, the contribution you give doesn't tie up with the salary you earn.
But
I don't think so.
So if you have a mortgage, you're paying for this mortgage.
Yes.
And every weekend you are dishing out 2 million.
But you have to, Dennis, you have to rectify it based on your strength.
It's okay.
Yes,
based on your strength.
yeah, financial strength. Personally, I don't give out that much.
I'm not referring to you directly.
Yes.
I'm just referring to, generally speaking, the composition of these people who are giving out this empowerment money every weekend.
Yes.
You're looking at a salary of a senator or a member of parliament with all the other obligations.
Yes.
And we keep hearing the president has given to 3 million.
Yes.
So and so has given 1 million. Another person has given 4 million. Another person has given 5 million.
Yes.
Every weekend. There was actually a splash the other day, I think it was yesterday, where it was detailing how much these individuals have been giving. And there's one that has given 145 million Kenya shillings so far in terms of donations. So the question is, where is the source of this money? Is it directly from your profits, from your business? If it's a personal donation, where is this money coming from?
Then that is the reason it's called personal donations. It's based on what you have. And most of these individuals that give out that money have been people who are older than all of us in this room. They have been doing their businesses.
Yeah.
You do not expect them to give 100,000 like Senator Cherargei, for example, because they do their own businesses. It's not tied to the salary. The personal donations that many individuals give, including the president and the deputy, is based on the businesses they have done. These are people who have been in public service. They have been doing businesses. They have friends. Personally, whenever I have a fundraiser in my home county, for example, a church, I normally approach colleagues, including Senator Newton, although maybe I'll approach him after this show. But on several occasions, he knows, even in our private launch where members, I'm having a fundraiser in this weekend, and they would ask, can you give me something, 50,000, 10,000, 100,000? So when I go and give out a $500,000 or $1 million, mostly it's sometimes you fundraise from friends who are courteous enough, or even you, or any sometimes. So these are individuals.
But Senator,
and you know that it depends with the type of friends you have.
I want to bring in Senator Newton here because this is a little bit different from what we see. Because we see a deliberate effort to go to different parts of the country.
Can I rectify before he comes on board?
Of course, I'll give you the opportunity.
Because I can see where you are headed.
Use this context to then rectify. Because this is not a situation where Ndu needs something to bury a family member. This is very different from what we've seen in the last couple of months. What we have seen is a deliberate effort to be in a particular area and hold a baraza or hold what would be a rally or whatever the case may be, and then dole out this money where people are called upon to say what it is they have. And then we get this big kitty. So number one, again, that question, where does this money come from? And then what does this money go to? Is it a particular project in that area that's being done? Is a borehole being sunk? Is a market being erected? Is a dining hall for a school being constructed? What is being done with this money? Or is it money that is going into the hands of Kenyans? And if that's the case, one must ask the question, is it sustainable? When we talk about economic development and empowerment, is this method sustainable? Senator Newton?
Thank you, and I think allow me to first address some of the issues that my colleague and friend, Senator Cherargei, has raised. And you have put it right that, this empowerment is very different from fundraising. Because like you have rightly put it, we fundraise when there is a particular cause, that somebody has a problem, there is some bureau preparations, there are some bureau preparations happening, or something like that. Somebody has not been able to raise fees, and so people come together, and not just politicians. I mean, many other people come together. In this empowerment, you're not going to see anybody else other than politicians. You not see a CEO from a particular company coming to this particular empowerment. And so it cannot be a fundraiser, as Senator Cherargei wants everybody to believe. A fundraiser is a situation where everybody in the society is invited and they contribute according to their ability. And so Senator Cherargei is very economical with the truth. And when he says that there is no financial misappropriation that we have been able, those of us that are against this, that we have been able to put across. But how? We know how this mischief is done. How is it done? Allocate more money or more funds to security agencies, because they are not, by law, you cannot audit or question expenditure. There is what we call confidential, like in Interior, Ministry of Defense, and that is where this money is coming from, of course. And by law, nobody will audit these funds because they are confidential. Senator Cherargei also played around with the question of 2,000 Kenya shillings. It was not 2,000 Kenya shillings for each member of this women group. It was 2,000 Kenya shillings, according to that particular media report, shared against 31 women. And so I think it's good to get the facts clear. The other thing that we must remind Senator Cherargei is that no empowerment. We have not seen any checks being issued. I mean, it's always in cash carried in bags. And you and me know that if you go to the bank today, your account, if you have to withdraw like 1 million Kenya shillings, you'll have to do a lot of paperwork and explain exactly what you want to do with that kind of cash. But they carry cash in bags, millions. So, and you'll find, like the deputy president, for example, you will find him, attend a particular empowerment program, then take a chopper, go to another place, contribute the same kind of money, 2-3 million, 2 from him, 2 million from 3 million from the president. I mean, just how do we get this cash? Can we get any trail on where this cash is withdrawn? With these accounts, where does this money come from? Because, of course, I mean, if I have some cash, I must have withdrawn it. Can we be able to get the banks from which they withdraw? Because we must be truthful to Kenyans who follow this, because Kenyans are smart and they know you cannot possibly be able to withdraw like 10 million Kenya shillings in a day from your account. And if that happens, there must be that trail. Then when Cherargei says that messaging is about unity, is about bringing people together in these particular programs, I mean, we have seen the messages. We have listened to the messages. The other day, the Speaker of the National Assembly was addressing some members. I don't remember which county, but was challenging the Kalenjin community members to protect the president because it is their son. And he is under threat from some other people, of course, referring to some other people. I mean, there's some other people referring to the people from the mountain and that kind of thing. And when Senator Cherargei again tells you that people are contributing as per their strength, it is not true. We have seen every member, just a minute, we have seen every member of parliament in that kind of, in those gatherings. When it's 100, everybody is 100,000 Kenya shillings, 100,000 Kenya shillings. No. Most of them, depending on seniority. Of course, Kimani Ichung'wah will contribute more because he's senior, but for the ordinary members and the senators like us, it will be 100,000, everybody 100,000. Nimechanga 100. That kind of thing. So, anyway, Dennis was asking something.
I've been attending those empowerment. So Kinyutu should be asking for a point of information. No, he should be asking, because I have sat there. He has never been there. What he's consuming is through media. Personally, when we went to Lukoyani before he concludes his point, there are members who contributed 50, 20, 10. It is always good to be. He's saying I'm economical to truth, but he's making it worse. Is more scarce with the truth, because he should have been said. I agree there are amounts that the president and the deputy and maybe senior leadership, I agree with him. But on the issue of members giving, no, that is unfair, because I have been in the forums. Even I was in Kisumu, I was in
where you have given like 10,000 shillings.
No, there are, of course, there's like MCAs, members of MPs, as he has said. I'm trying to clarify, because I've been there. He has never been there. Unless he understands, he attends through the spirit. And unless, by the way, what media has done is to try and audit something that is not auditable. Because they are trying to show the country what the president has contributed, not what Senator Cherargei has contributed, which I found it odd. Because if they wanted to do proper audit, they should give up to the, because when Senator Newton says it is only politicians who give money, he is lying. Because I've been there, even CBOs that we fundraise normally contribute to their own kitty. And then the way we share, we ensure that there is transparency and accountability. And what I suspect, because I saw that news story in one of your colleague media stations, they went and looked for a group that was not part of what we were fundraising for. I wish they would have gone to specific groups and asked us, the organizers. We did an Arambe in Lukuyane. You did an Arambe in Isiolo. You did an Arambe in Mombasa. Who are these groups? Then we can give them the groups, the names of the group. Then you go and audit, because we were in Muranga the other day.
So Cherargei,
and we didn't get the contribution of the area senator. I think that groups that come from Muranga would also deserve even the small or the large amount that comes from their leaders to go to them. So finally, you had asked a question. I don't know whether I said
it took it away from me. You know, kindly, panel, I mean, our hosts, don't allow Senator Cherargei to escape. There are substantive issues that he should address. Exactly where is this cash withdrawn from? And because you are saying that people are just generous, it is important that you tell us, if I can be able, and it has been raised here, if I can be able to contribute about 10 million in a week, then of course I should be able to prove or to show the source of such funds. And if it is business that I'm engaged in, it should tally with my KRA returns.
So the Senate asked these questions. Sorry, Dennis. The Senate asked these questions. If the deputy president, because again, we did see the breakdown by one of our sister stations just the other day, and the question was, if in the last 2 months, about 5 billion shillings has already been used, if the deputy president on his own, and apart from everybody else who comes in and gives their 10,000, 100,000, whatever the case may be, where is this money drawn from? And are those questions for oversight from Senate? For example, in terms of where does this money come from? If I'm in Embu today, Tharaka-Nithi the next day, Meru the day after that, where does this money come from?
Can I have the first bite to the cherry? One, I want to say this. You remember when Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, governor, tried to pass the Arambe law? It never succeeded. Because how do you audit an Arambe? Which legislation provides for such? So what Senator Newton, and I want to make him popular in this country, is to bring a proposal, a legislative intervention on how you can regulate fundraising in the country. I remember Senator Cherargei tried to bring that law. Then your question will be answered, because if we have legislative forum, it will allow, who will use someone, for example, to appear before the Senate to oversight on the fundraiser that has been done.
So in this
and I wanted to answer quick before Dennis, you come. Yes, something about confidential amount. When the GNC protest happened, the president directed that all confidential accounts be scrapped. And it was scrapped unless Senator Newton can give us evidence that confidential accounts still exist. You asked us, why were we doing this fundraiser? You remember when we tried to fundraise for the churches? The same individuals who are opposing government, including my brother here, said, why don't you go and fundraise for Mama Mboga and Boda instead of fundraising for the church? The church, God will take care of them. You remember the huge fight that we were being told, don't do, in fact, I appeared in one of the shows, one of the sister stations called Politics of Pulpit. We were being told, why are you going to church to fundraise, give 20 million? Why don't you look for groups? It is the same individuals who are accusing us. Why would you give to the church? Why don't you go to the road and do an Arambe? So I want to say, and then finally, you ask a question so that you come in, is so that I don't lose. You ask a question, why are you doing fundraiser? Where is the development? Those forums we are using to explain our development agenda. Because when we went to the church, we were being accused of hijacking the pulpit. So we wanted to look for our own forum, a more organized forum to explain, for example, the issue of affordable housing, the issue of markets we are doing in Muranga, in all the sub-counties, even in Nandi, in Mandera, the issue of affordable housing we are doing here in Nairobi, the issue of roads, you have seen the dueling of Mau Summit, all the way to Eldoret to Malaba, the issue of Mau Mau roads we are doing. You remember the president talked about the Niti Bridge yesterday that the procurement has begun today. So we use those forums too, because you're asking, what about the balls? What about the schools? What about, we use those forums to explain to our people.
But
because in politics, if you allow vacuum, these guys who are like Sanbalats will go and mislead the public.
Cherargei,
because if you don't go and explain to what you are doing, you remember, media were asking us and Kenyans, what is government doing?
Cherargei, question is, When you talk about empowerment as is, let's look at from a policy perspective, because you form part of government.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So here's a question where when the government was formed, we have the Hustler Fund, we have the Youth Enterprise Fund, we have the Women Fund, we have NGAF, we have the CDF. And you talk about going into these empowerments to explain about affordable housing. That is part and policy of government. That is something that can be explained on the floor of the House, both the National Assembly and the Senate. Why exactly are we engaging in this empowerment if at all we already have policies that guide how you can explain to Kenyans the policies that you are doing, and that through the laws that do exist, there is ways for this empowerment for enriching different groups in the country can be done? Why not just follow the law?
I agree that we have, as he has said, my brother has said, we have women enterprise, youth fund, and we are now launching Nyota fund. There is the issue of Hustler fund, among other funds. But it is not enough for all the groups. That's the problem. We must, I can tell you where I come from, because we are leaders here and new to. Whenever you go, whenever I attend a function, you get 5 to 6 CBOs who are requesting for financial support to do their programs. So if any leader would be lying to say all the funds that we have will be sufficient enough to finance the community-based organization groups, sorry for using the short form of CBOs, community-based organization groups, there are women groups, silly groups in those machinani. So I agree with you. There is that initiative that we have the funds that are there, but they are not enough. They are not sufficient. And that is why, it is like somebody who has been treated in an hospital and there is a bill that has been paid by insurance. Sometimes you attend a fundraiser and you are told the insurance paid this much, there is this much. So it is about supplementing the entire process. Secondly, you have said there are many forums. If we thank media, when we appear in media like this, we can use this forum to explain what government has done. When in parliament, we can do it. And any other, we are just complementing, because in politics, if they are vacuum, if you allow these gentlemen to go on the ground alone, they can mislead the public. When SHA, by the way, began, they say SHA is not working.
Which it wasn't, when
it started working, they said there were problems. But when it is now working, they kept quiet on SHA. Now they have shifted to something else. They are now talking about capitation. They'll start talking about roads. So they cannot be vacuum in politics. And that is why we go and explain to Wananchi, this is what the government is doing. And we preach also. What is important is peace and unity and cohesion. So when Senator Nyutu wants to isolate a few statements, and I don't think when the Speaker of the National Assembly said that Kenyans should be part of supporting, what he meant is that all of us should support the president to succeed. Because he was one of the Americans.
He was
clarify. The last point is he didn't say Kenyans. He actually talked to the Kalenjin community to rally and support the president.
But you have to appreciate everybody comes from somewhere. He comes from somewhere. So what he said is what one of the American presidents said. If you pray for your president to fail, you are praying for your country to. What he meant is that we need to give the president the support. He's also human. So that he works, he needs to be affirmed that you are doing a good job. It is any human being that says here. Even myself and the leader here, if you go to ground and people tell you you do a good job, you will feel motivated to deliver. And that is why even you had the president yesterday on his own description that we have never had as learned president as we are having today. So those are isolated statements that our opponents would like to pick out. Because when you see even in the Saboti event, in Majimbo event, and I'm happy they are now complimented, because we cannot cover everywhere. I hope Senator Nyutu will organize one in Muranga and invite the likes of SG, of ODM, although I doubt he will stay long. I know how ODM operates. Margaret Langat died, Ababu Namamba tried. I'm telling you, Sifuna is on his way of ODM as the SG and will be dealt properly. So I hope Senator Nyutu will organize, instead of going to the pulpit, because even media, you need to be fair. You need to call out these gentlemen. They normally go to do pulpit politics. If you have monitor, and I'm happy, media is always objective in Kenya. I expect the Senator Nyutu and his friends to organize another empowerment and do it on their own way, because all these Kenyans need support.
Allow me to ask the question as you come in, Senator Nyutu. Yes. Is it the job? Because what we see here is members of parliament, whether it's senators, whether it is MPs, whether it's National Assembly or Senate, we see the leader of this of majority, we see the Speaker of the National Assembly, we see the Deputy President. Is it their job to do this empowerment? From what we understand, Senate is supposed to sit in a position of oversight. The National Assembly is supposed to sit in a position of legislation as well as oversight, as then representation. Do we see there is a need for this outward economic development empowerment, or are there functions by particular organizations and infrastructure that has been set up to do this very thing across board?
Thank you. I think I had attempted at answering that question even before you asked it. That some of the funds being used are coming from sources that cannot be audited, legally speaking. And although Senator Cherargei says that the confidential accounts were closed, but when there is mischief, you can always be able to say I've closed the account, but then you are located to Interior, and then once there you can be able to of course do what you want with it. But even as we say that, I must say that we are told no matter is perfect. In fact, we have been struggling here. Then Senator Cherargei tells you that they decided they had to look for a forum to explain government programs, which is what I had started by saying, that it is just politics. It's not empowerment. He has said it, that why they started these empowerment programs was because they needed a forum to be able
to... Tell Kenyans what they're doing.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what he says. But I also want to remind Senator Cherargei again to claim and to think that what you're discussing here is anybody who is not in here is not privy to this, is actually to be very blind. Senator Cherargei, when you people attend these forums, we are able to follow what each one of you says, because this is the age of digital technology. So for you, I'm not trying to tell you that we are very much interested in what you do. I'm just trying to tell you that I do not have to attend one to know what is said there, that everything is covered digitally. So you cannot sit here and say that anybody who has never attended this particular fora cannot know what happens there. So this is the age of, technology. I mean, when... I'm very worried with the way Senator Cherargei is misleading listeners. When you say that, it doesn't want to tell us exactly where does this money come from. He says that you cannot audit fundraisers. We are not talking about the fundraisers. We are talking about the sources of the contributors. This person who has contributed 20 million in 1 week, exactly where? And they're in government. Exactly where does that person... I didn't interrupt you.
No, sorry, I'm also asking so that I can answer.
Listen, you'll get your time to ask. You say so many things, some of which are not even relevant to the discussion that we are having here, including telling us what government is doing. I mean, we are talking about fundraising. But so, he wants to interrupt my line of thinking. So what we are raising is, we know the president is paid a salary of about 1.4 million Kenya shillings in 1 month. Well, he can be in business. That is not a problem. But then, if he can contribute 20, 40 million in 1 week, I mean, would he be, open and transparent enough to, to show that this is what I earned from my chicken farm, this is what I withdrew from this particular account, and these are my KRA returns, showing that actually this is what I earned, and this is what I paid, for transparency's sake. Any businessman can make those contributions without anybody asking too many questions, because this is not somebody who holds public funds or who controls public funds. Why we are asking about the sources is because the people who are doing this are people who are appropriating public funds. And that's why they should be transparent and tell us, I am Professor Abraham Kithure Kindiki. This is what I made from my business. This is what I made. I paid as tax, and that is why I withdrew this money. I withdrew from Kenya Commercial Bank. I withdrew from Cooperative Bank, and this is, that trail, so that we may stop asking questions. Because if you are a leader, you must be accountable. You must be transparent. You must account and be transparent. when you say that these are forum to explain about development, the other day Bishop Muheria told them that government cannot be an advertising agency, telling us what you do. Now they are telling us about the education that they have, and with due respect, I'm a senator now. I can tell you that it would be very hard for somebody in some offices to write a doctoral thesis and defend it. So, I don't want to refer to anybody, but some of these, even PhDs, are things we can question when people, where people, when they went to class, when they were able to defend these, these theses and projects. So let people not advertise about their abilities, their achievements. Let people get, in any case.
I ask
Senator Cherargei,
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Just following your train of thought, from where these sources of the sources of this money. If you today, Senator Cherargei, you decide you want to go to Murang'a this weekend for the empowerment program.
Yes.
My understanding of empowerment then, and I want to follow your train of thought. When you decide you're going to a particular region to carry out an empowerment program, you have the monies that you're going to contribute in mind. Yes. You have the people in mind. Do you do economic studies or community needs assessment when you're going to these areas and you're saying, fine, this area, this is what is going on and this is how much you need to contribute? And if you do that, do you meet people who are looking for your generosity, or they want functioning structures, training centers? They're looking for areas where they can practice their skills, or is it these monies that they really need?
Thank you very much. I think normally, and all of us understand, is whenever you meet these CBOs, they already have something in mind. They have sat, they will show you the minutes, they are registered. They say maybe they want to do avocado farming, which is predominant in Murang'a, or even milk, for example, in Nandi. So they already have something in mind, and the only part that is remaining is on the finances. Number two is they are already organizers on the ground that would coordinate. Most of these are officials of these CBOs and groups. One of the conditions you must get is that you must be a registered CBO, so that accountability. Number three is how much, if I decide to go to Murang'a today, or to Nandi, or to Kericho, or to Mandera, or Isiolo, you have friends. So if I know I have 2 or 3 empowerments, I'll call a number of friends, sometimes colleagues in parliament, or even friends, contemporary friends that you have. And some of them contribute a certain amount. You have your own contribution. And I wanted to answer the question on source of funds. Source of funds I had tried to answer. I said, for example, the way you're asking me, if I'm going to Murang'a, if Mogoiri or somewhere in Murang'a town, or in Kiharu, or anywhere, or even Maragua, I will take a certain amount. So I believe if I have to contribute 100 or 200,000, I'll talk to friends that I have these 3 empowerments, kindly support me. That's one source of funds. Number 2 is your own ability. I am happy Senator Nyutu has mentioned something about the president's chicken farm. These are individuals who have done business over time. They have their own properties. They have their own income outside salary. For example, we can even scale it down. I know a number of you are in WhatsApp groups of fundraiser for medical expenses. Does it mean if you contribute 50,000 today, is it attached to your salary? No.
But those are not empowerment programs.
It's empowerment derives from the word Arambe spirit. That was my opening remarks. That our founding fathers taught us that we can come together. Ile ujamaa ubuntu. We can come together and support us. Unless you wonder the capitalism, we push for social. You look at the foundation of a nation. Even as when you were growing up, we used to know that when somebody is in a problem, you go and sit down and try and assist. I remember even when we were growing up, we used during a weeding season, we could come together, weed for a particular family, and then the following day we go. So it is the larger picture of how we were brought up. So another source of funds is, of course, financial ability, contemporary friends. I can assure you, and I want to there, because by the way, you are Senator Nyutu has more advantage than me than the 3 of you.
How so?
I want him to bring a statement to the floor of the House and demand that, and I want him to demand a statement asking in these confidential accounts which money has been removed. And even someone, he has power that the 3 of you don't have a control of budget, call even the office of the Auditor General so that he can tell us if there are funds that has been lost. Because you cannot be making sweeping statements just like ordinary Mama Mboga or Boda guy on the street. He should be telling this show that, you know, I did request a statement from National Security or Finance and Budget. I wanted to know if there is existence of confidential fund, because personally it is not there. I wanted to know that this money that is being contributed, where does it come from? And I've told you, if you want a proper accountability on the issue of fundraising and empowerment programs, there is no policy or legislation that will allow Parliament today to call Senator Cherargei to appear before it and account for the money that I give in private.
So
because those are private
such
functions.
a thing should be done. Let me jump
because
off that
Professor
question.
Nyong'o, if you remember, and I think somebody wanted to propose about fundraising bill on so that we can give an order. You remember they were you and cry when and I don't know the 20 million that Senator Nyitu is talking, because in all the forums I have attended in empowerment, I've never listened to somebody giving 20 million. Well, unless maybe he has more information.
I talked about cumulative amounts.
Yeah. But cumulative amount in a man.
Well, he did mention the president, and in terms of the 20 million that he's given in a church in Kasarani, another one has happened in another church in another area, which would be towards empowerment. But I want to go beyond that and talk about sustainability for a minute here, because I want to ask a question for both of you, which is one of the things that Senate, again, is tasked to do when it comes to oversight. The word that is used in this is program, and you talked about community-based organizations, and they enter into programs which are sustainable, that over time you will go to a community and you will see that the fruits of this program have been 1, 2, 3. Women, for example, who were given seed capital and they started a project, and you can actually go and see that this is going on, and you can trace, there's traceability from point A to point B. Are these actually programs? Are they sustainable beyond giving cash out? And if so, then they can be traced. And perhaps, I don't know if this is a point that you make, how do you trace something, or how do you demand accountability management for something which is not vested in any kind of record?
That's exactly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.